the best adaptation of a video game into anything exists, and that is the animated Castlevania. Castlevania follows Trevor Belmont, who has generations before him and after him of vampire and monster hunters trying to stop Dracula and his night creatures from destroying the world. He's aided by a sorceress, Sypha. She's very versatile with the dark arts, and she's able to conjure icicles, fire, electricity, and other powerful incantations to kill monsters just if not better than Trevor. But this story is amazing. There are 4 seasons and they're all spectacular, voiced by a cast led by Richard Armitage, James Callis, but there's so many fantastic recognizable actors, created by Warren Ellis, who is responsible for writing video games such as Dead Space and a bunch of Marvel animated and not animated films. And also Adi Shankar, who is an actor and producer. My goodness, this show is spectacular. It is beautiful. The colors are sharp. The animation is not cheap at all. The monster and creature design is outstanding, but it stays so true to the video game lore. And believe me, the original Castlevania video game created by Konami has so many different iterations, starting from the original Nintendo and sipping through the most recent consoles. Castlevania has deep lore and history, game mechanics and weapons, creatures, bad guys and good guys, and the series does an amazing job in putting all of that lore, all of that history onto animated format with spectacular fashion. The storytelling is outstanding, and my god, I watched the final episode of the 4th season and it just blew my mind. I cannot believe something so good exists today, and I'm so thankful for all of the amazing animators and writers and voice actors who delivered one of the best, if not my favorite animated series of all time. Digging a little bit deeper into the story, it's all about Dracula, his son Alucard, Trevor Belmont, the vampire and monster hunter, Sypha, the wizard, and a conglomerate of vampires that are tired of seeing humans pilfer the beautiful world that it's around them. There is a lot of themes of magic, sorcery, and how humans are not gentle and kind to each other either. The world is dark, merciless, bloody, scary, adventurous, and all of those very important themes of why do we exist? What is the purpose of doing anything? What is the importance of keeping family legacy? The consequences of keeping dark secrets. All of that is really pragmatically put on screen on episodes that last between 25 to half an hour, and they are spectacular. Sometimes they focus on action, sometimes they focus on very well done and meaningful dialogue. Sometimes the episodes combine both action and dialogue, but it's all visually pleasing and accentuated by outstanding voice performances by actors you might be familiar with, but it doesn't really matter because the storytelling seeps through their delivery of the lines, and the soundtrack is just heart-pounding and so well-paced that when you start watching an episode and you finish, you feel that you watched almost an entire movie filled with action, drama, conflict, and resolution, and sets up every next episode in a perfect way. The seasons are consistently good and improve. The first, second, third, and fourth, they are an uphill in terms of quality, in terms of quantity of the action and good dialogue, and they provide development for the characters and introduce new, very interesting characters, some of which are taken directly from the video games, some of which are brand new and equally interesting. And that's what makes Castlevania an outstanding animated series that doesn't repeat itself, doesn't have fluff episodes, that is always visually striking and has very important deep messages about the human condition. This definitely is animated for adults, and it contains very adult situations. It's also bloody and gory and very cool. In fact, there's a lot of very dynamic shots, action, magic, depictions of weapons directly taken from the video game, and other stuff that is done very tastefully, but also doesn't shy away from showing you everything and then some, and not for shock value either, which makes this a labor of love. You can see the animators and the writers bringing something that they really care about to the screen, and they're not being shy in showing the top quality and top creativity within the limits of the screen, because this feels like it's cell animation, even though I guarantee that it's a mix of CG and cell, but it also is storytelling with something in mind, and that is it wants to be loyal to the fans of Castlevania. It wants to introduce new and compelling characters and bring in new audience onto a world that is rich, dark, and definitely worth exploring. What I'm super happy about is that Castlevania is going to live on a spin-off that takes on another family member from the Belmont somewhere in France, close to the French Revolution, if I'm not mistaken. That is still in the works, and I don't think they have all of the details. But I cannot wait to see what they do with a different type of storytelling. Speaking of storytelling, you cannot do well without villains, and the villains here are so good. The main antagonist for the very first season is Dracula. Just like in most of Castlevania games, this is a Dracula that is merciless, that is carnage-filled, and he wants to destroy humanity, but he has good reasoning to do so because humanity has done something atrocious to him. And yeah, it's almost justified. He commands wizards that are able to bring night creatures from dead humans, and those wizards play a pivotal role throughout the series. But it's not only about Dracula, it's about other villains that are equally compelling and scary and make a lot of sense even in the modern world where there is not good things happening, and it's not done in an exaggerated way and it's not done in a gimmicky way. In fact, it's so realistic and so well done that sometimes you want to side with the villains because their stories and their reasonings are so compelling. And I gotta be honest, it's not that I'm a bad guy, but the philosophy behind their actions, it's very compelling. And it makes the heroes work really hard to be able to defeat them. And that's what makes this series so great, is that there are two forces that sometimes are not as clear as to who the bad antagonist is and why, and it actually makes you want to side with some of the antagonists to see them succeed in what they want to achieve. Altogether, there's a lot of gray areas that Castlevania explores in a very good way because it keeps you engaged, it keeps you guessing, and it's emotional, it's relatable. It's something that draws you in and doesn't let you go. And even at the end of each season, you really feel that you need to know more. And Castlevania succeeds in providing you all the questions and the answers to make a satisfying experience. Castlevania surpassed my expectations in every possible way by delivering meaningful, compelling stories that make you think and are enjoyable even if you just want to turn your brain off, with crisp, quality animation, great characters, and deep story, representation of monsters, gameplay features, and weapons from the Castlevania video games. This animated series elevates storytelling on screen to a certain degree that perhaps I don't think it's going to be beaten by anything else, even the Castlevania spin-off. The voice acting is so good, and altogether memorable characters jump from the screen into your dreams and sometimes your nightmares. Castlevania by far is, at this particular point, my favorite animated series of all time, and I strongly suggest you check it out if you haven't done so. I wonder what your favorite animated series is and why. I'm Jin from Get Me More, and you know where to find me. Thank you for watching.